Jay-Z is not content just being dropped from a lawsuit. He wants revenge and to unequivocally clear his name. Hello, my fam. Perez Hilton here, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and you may not recognize that face, but you might know his name. That is Tony Buzbee, the Texas-based attorney who is filing over 100 lawsuits against disgraced music mogul Diddy. Thankfully, he is currently behind bars where he belongs and where he will remain at least through the duration of his trial, which is set to begin in May of this year. Those are federal charges against him that include racketeering, trafficking, and more. These are all civil cases. And in one of the civil cases, a Jane Doe who filed anonymously also accused Jay-Z of major wrongdoing. If you forgot, the allegations were that this woman was taken to a Diddy after party after the VMAs back in 2000. And then she claims that Diddy and Jay-Z both raped her, took advantage of her. Jay-Z denied this repeatedly and strongly, and ultimately Busby's lawsuit from that Jane Doe was dropped with prejudice, meaning it cannot be filed again. That came after some discrepancies in her accusations. For some reason, she had agreed to do an interview with NBC News. They asked questions, poked holes, and she had a lot of holes. Like her father never even remembering going from upstate New York to New York City to pick her up. Yeah, she somehow snuck out and went all the way to Manhattan from upstate New York to go to the VMAs, and then called her dad and had the dad come pick her up. And I always thought that story, these allegations, sounded very fishy. Well, earlier today, ABC News obtained an audio recording of that Jane Doe confessing that she lied. In that recording, a male investigator asked her, but Jay-Z was, you're saying he was definitely there, but he had no part in it. She replied, he was there. A female investigator then pressed further, saying, he was just there, but he didn't have anything to do with any sexual acts toward you. It was strictly, then she responds, yes. Then the woman claims that Tony Buzbee put her up to it all. She says, he was the one that kind of pushed me towards going forward with him, Jay-Z. Let's take a listen to this audio recording.
He did not assault her.
But Jay-Z, you're saying he was definitely there? But he had no part in it, or he was just...
He was there.
He was there.
He was just there, but he didn't have anything to do with any sexual acts towards you. It was strictly, yeah.
The woman is also heard saying her lawyer put her up to suing one of the world's most recognizable stars.
He was the one that kind of pushed me towards going forward with him.
With Jay-Z? Busby did?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
No.
ABC News exclusively obtained a minute-long excerpt of the recording made days after the woman, identified as Jane Doe, permanently dropped her lawsuit against both Carter and Combs last month.
Oh, the timing of that is important. This confession was after she dropped her lawsuit against Jay-Z and against Diddy as well. However, Tony Buzbee is responding, and he is very upset. In a scathing response to this just released audio, he says that the tape is a total fabrication. In a statement, Busby says, I spoke to Jane Doe immediately after being contacted by ABC. Her position is very clear and has never changed. The tape is a fabrication. If her position is clear and never changed, then why did she drop her lawsuit? Jay-Z made a point of mentioning in his statement responding to the lawsuit being dismissed that he exchanged no money with that woman, that she was not paid off. So why is she all of a sudden now confessing that Jay-Z had nothing to do with her? No grape, nada. Tony Buzbee says that the woman was tricked by investigators into saying the right thing for this audio recording. Tony reveals, quote, "The investigators tormented and harassed and tricked that poor woman and took what she said out of context and secretly recorded her." The woman lives in Alabama, and I just did a little digging and found the following. What does Alabama law say about recording without consent? Quote, "Alabama code stipulates that at least one person involved in a conversation must consent to its recording. No person may record conversations he or she is not a part of unless given verbal or written consent prior to the recording being made. Thus, recording a private conversation that you are a part of in Alabama does not break any laws." All right. You've just been exposed as a liar, Tony Buzbee. This conversation that was secretly recorded is not illegal in Alabama, where the woman lives. So, why did this interview with Jane Doe even happen? This is what Jay-Z's lawyer says.
Against both Carter and Combs last month.
People around Mr. Carter wanted to know what happened behind closed doors. And so they asked for her to be interviewed. The interview occurred, and the tape speaks for itself. She says, in no uncertain terms, Mr. Carter did not do this. It is effectively a lie. And the only reason Mr. Carter is even involved in this is because she was pushed to involve him, pushed to include him by a lawyer.
Well, Tony Buzbee has now released his own recording with Jane Doe. Let's listen to that.
Of a phone call with his client.
They say that they have you on tape denying that Jay-Z assaulted you. Is that true?
No. I don't. I never said that.
Okay. They also say that you told them, and they have it on tape, that I, Tony Buzbee, told you to came up with this plan and told you to say that Jay-Z assaulted you so you would get more money.
No.
Jane Doe said.
Jane Doe said in her court filing, quote, "Although I ultimately chose not to pursue them, I stand by my claims." I think Jane Doe is a pathological liar. She was on tape. She said what she said. Then she lied to her lawyer. She probably lied about him pressuring her too. She's probably a liar. I think she is. Jay-Z's lawyer asserts, though, that the woman was not coerced, that the investigators did not coerce her, promise, or threaten her in any way, shape, or form. She voluntarily met and spoke to them, and she told them her truth. Tony Buzbee, however, counters that the alleged victim was spooked, unnerved by how the investigators tracked her and her parents down for questioning, despite her being anonymous in the legal proceedings. She allegedly was terrified after she was cornered by the two investigators outside of her home, who worked for one of Jay-Z's attorneys, the investigators, who wanted her to sign an affidavit stating that the claims she made were false. I'm inclined to believe Jay-Z's attorney. That woman did not sound like she was under duress when she was answering those questions. Or do you think she was? And this is not all. No. Jay-Z wants even more. He is suing this woman and Tony Buzbee for defamation. He is really intent on clearing his name. And I think it's working. But I think a lot of social media still thinks he's very guilty. However, how come other alleged victims haven't come forward? Do you think Jay-Z is innocent or guilty? He definitely is. He's never seeing life outside of prison. Lots to think about, lots to discuss. Let's get into it all in the comments section